evening.
Good evening, folks.
How are you?
Good. Apart from the little drama that we just had, but very good now.
Yeah, we had quite a few technical issues this evening with regards to audio. So that was fun. First of all, mine was a problem. With regards to audio. So that was fun. First of all, mine was a problem. Can you hear that?
I can hear a ghost that sounds like you.
Yeah,
Ghost
I know, right?
going. So we're going to have a double dose of Tracy tonight.
No, we don't want that. Anyway, I hope everybody's had a good week. We can't see who's in here. We can't see who's watching. So please make a comment, say hi, evening, and ask us any questions you want to ask us as we go along. First off, we don't have Tash tonight. She's really sick. So she's got a virus. So just to let you know that she won't be with us this week, but hopefully she will be back next week. Oh, I can see how many are watching. There's 3 people on so far. Pretty good going for early in this early of the stage. So Tash will be back with us next week when she's going to be taking the haunted location spotlight. And she's going to be talking about her trip to Norfolk Island that she did a few weeks back when she wasn't with us. She was over there investigating, and unfortunately, the Wi-Fi wasn't that great over there, so she couldn't go live. Anyway, why would you want to when you're over there on an investigation holiday? She was on a tour with lots of other people, and you're going to get to find out all about these tours next month. So towards the end of the podcast, towards the end of the podcast, we'll let you know what's coming up next month because, of course, this is the end of April. So this is the last episode for this month. Now, in case this is the first time you've joined us, every week, every Friday, 8 p.m., we'll either have a live or a pre-recorded video. If it's a pre-recorded video, normally it's because we can't get together for the live. Or, for instance, like with our guest speakers, the country timings don't match up. So we have to do the interview at some ridiculous hour, and then we pre-record it and set it out later. So I hope you've all had a good week. We've had a really good week. We've got the schedule pretty much nutted out until September at this stage. We've got some, oh, hey, Stephen, nice to see you. We've got some really cool guest speakers coming up, eh, Bub?
We have. We're going to have a lot of fun.
Yeah, and some really good subjects coming up.
Yeah.
So I guess for the first part, before we actually get into it, I got some news. I do love this. Right, so I've got a bit of an update on the Aaron Goodwin saga. So as we previously reported, and if you haven't heard, and I'm sure most of you have by now, that Aaron Goodwin's wife had hired a hitman to kill him. She was, what was it? Oh, I did write it down so I wouldn't get it all mixed up. She was actually charged with conspiracy to commit murder and solicitation to commit murder. The second charge was dropped in a plea bargain for her to plead guilty to the first, which she has pled guilty to now. So she is expecting to serve between 2 to 10 years in I think it's a federal prison, actually. And her sentencing is going to be on the 5th of June. So, yep, stand by and we'll let you know what happens there. There's lots of other paranormal news, but I really can't be bothered reporting on it. So let's just get into what we're going to talk about tonight.
A big subject tonight, a big topic, and I see Stephen's made a comment. We have to be quite careful, Stephen. We don't want to get, people saying we're not telling the truth or not, or fabricating what we're saying. So we're going to stay away from that word, the FAKE word.
Yeah, you definitely stay away from that one. Evening, Kelly. Thank you for jumping on. Love to see you as always. So tonight, what we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about probably 3 different stages. We're going to talk about reviewing. We're going to talk about analyzing. And then we're going to talk about, I'm not going to show that comment. And then we're going to talk about presenting your evidence. And that's probably going to be a bit of an interesting one because there's various ways that you can present your evidence. And I think how you present your evidence is going to be determine how you're actually going to be taken. Evening, Kelly. Another Kelly. Nice to see you. So I think the first part, let's talk about reviewing. And when we're going to talk about reviewing, we're going to split it down a bit. So there's reviewing video, there's reviewing audio, and then there's also reviewing stills. So we will discuss all 3. Reviewing stills and video can be pretty much all spoken as one unit, although there is a couple of different little bits and pieces to it, but reviewing audio is a completely different kettle of fish. So let's first talk about reviewing either photographic or video evidence, Barb. So I think the first... Go.
I was just going to say that's like both of them are huge topics, and really, I think it depends on what you're reviewing for. Are you part of a investigation team? Are you a group of friends who have just gone out for the night ghost hunting? So first of all, you kind of need to decide what it is that you want to. Are you just looking for a ghost, the photo of a ghost or the video of a phantom, or are you looking for more subtle nuances in your photos? So you kind of have to work out how long you want to spend doing it as well. I mean, some people will spend 10 minutes going through their 100 photos that they've taken on an investigation. And when they don't see anything immediately apparent, well, that's it. I've looked. No, there's nothing there. Other people will go through every single photo looking for any anomaly that it could be. And then even the ones they haven't found anomalies, they'll go through and they'll change the contrast and change the lighting, lighten the whole thing so they can have a look in the shadows and all that sort of thing. So really it depends how far you want to go with it, to me.
Yep, that's true. The one thing about reviewing any sort of video footage or still footage, I would recommend that you put it on a big TV screen for starters. Yeah. You see far more on a big TV screen, far more as in what you've captured and also what you think might be paranormal comes out a lot easier, a lot clearer, rather than watching it on a laptop. So I've always plugged a laptop into the big TV, 55-inch, and Kel and I have done this before together and sat there and gone through the footage that way. I think it also depends on how the investigation has been executed as to how you review. If we've got a communications unit running that night and someone's manning it constantly, anything that they notice on the video footage when they're watching 12 cameras all at once, I'm talking about static cameras as opposed to roaming cameras, which are cameras that people take around with them like a personal video camera. They will write down things that they see that it might be absolutely nothing, but it's something to go back to later on and look. So we have a dedicated form set out with fields that they fill in while they're sitting there looking at the cameras for when people are ready to review, for them to go back to those timestamps and check those timestamps to make sure that what this person has seen can be easily explained. If you're talking about roaming cameras and someone's walking around with their own camera, well, we actually had, we would all upload it to the cloud and everyone would get to review everybody else's footage. Because everybody is at different stages in their experience and their research into the paranormal. So what one person might think is something, another person will know quite categorically that it's not. It is just a dust. It's just a piece of dust, or it's an airborne particle. It's nothing to get excited over. So we don't expect everybody to review their own footage and not show their footage to other people. Kelly's brought up, particularly when it comes to DVRs, always make sure your time settings are correct before starting. Yeah. Particularly with DVRs. Don't even want to go there again about that. Don't ever want to have that issue again. That's just a nightmare. When you are reviewing, because we're talking about reviewing, it's important that you note down, and as I say, you might not know, you might not think it's anything, you don't know, but note it down so that your peers can look at it and they can have their say and determine what they think it is. Because peer review is really important, right, Barb?
It is, but can I just make a point that, like, what Tracy's talking about is how Quantum Foundation does their reviewing. Now, paranormal research is we're completely different. We actually review our own footage, and we're responsible for reviewing our own footage. Although we will write down different events that have happened during an investigation, we go through our audio and video, and every second that we have recorded is listened to, watched, and carefully. Sometimes, we go back if we sort of feel that there's something odd happen there, or we think we may have just seen something, or what could it have been, or did I just hear something there? We'll go back and we will actually review it second by second, and we might do that 20 times, just to the few seconds of footage that we think that there could be something with. And then because there's only two of us in our team, our peer review, we will show each other what we think we might have. And then if we believe we have something, we will then take it to other investigators outside our team and ask them, what they think of this particular clip that we have by then clipped, which we'll get to that eventually as well. So yeah, different teams do have different ways of doing their review. It doesn't make it wrong, and you will find that depending on where you are in your paranormal research journey, your reviewing technique will evolve over years.
Absolutely.
My reviewing technique is nothing like it was when I started, and it's constantly changing. I'm always coming up with new ways to try it, and new sort of new ideas on what I could do with this footage. How can I sort of see a bit more or hear a bit more, or
but then this is the field anyway as a whole. You will evolve, and you will change how you investigate. You'll change how you execute an EVP, just like you will change how you review things, and you will change how you analyze things. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. There's no growth. If you don't change things, you don't grow. So Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, exactly. It's hey Junkers. Hi Colette, how are you? Nice to see you. Colette's just joined us. So
Hi,
yeah,
Colette.
it depends on how many people you've got running. It depends on how you're executing the investigation. It depends on how many cameras you've got. All of that depends on how you are actually going to review something. But as a general rule, put it on a big screen, whether it's photographs, still footage, or if
Yep.
it's video, straight on the
Yep.
big screen.
Yep.
There's no two ways about that.
Headphones.
Excuse me.
You cannot review without headphones.
No.
Preferably sound cancelling headphones.
And
Just make
earplugs?
it much easier.
No,
No,
you need
no,
earmuffs like this that
yeah,
cover the ears completely.
absolutely.
And for audio, any audio, whether that be EVPs or video, that's what you must have. If you're reviewing video and you're using earphones, which you should be, don't expect the video audio to be fantastic on CCTV cameras, because
Yeah,
it's what they call scratch audio. So it's not particularly good audio. So I always recommend, if you've got static cams running in a room, if you can chuck a recorder in every single room that you've got a static camera running in. And I know that's a lot of cameras if you're looking at a lot of recorders if you're looking at a big place, but that would
yeah,
be your optimal thing to do. Just because you're going to get better audio.
yeah,
What you
yeah.
hear on a static cam, you can
You'll
hear loads of things that you can think of something, but may necessarily be absolutely nothing.
You'll certainly get more reliable audio. I mean, I wouldn't trust an EVP completely that I heard just on a static cam,
No,
because they're not there to record audio. They're
no.
more visual. Just another thing that I wanted to say about the watching your videos on TV. It is awesome. It's like you certainly see a lot more. However, you might have to sort of watch it a couple of times at least, because I find myself watching one corner of the TV and I'm like, did I just see something down the other corner? And so, yeah, you've got to rewind and watch it again. So that is something, with watching it on, well, even on your PC or computer, you can, sometimes you just have to keep rewinding and checking, because you're looking for the tiny, well, if you're
Needle in the
serious,
haystack.
you are looking for the tiniest little anomaly. And if you think you've seen one, just go back and have a look and have another look. And sometimes, because also sometimes you can just basically go frame by frame. Now, if it's going frame by frame, that's great. But I've been caught before where it's actually going every third or fourth frame and I've missed it. It's like, I saw that light earlier. So you've got to really, it's absolutely minuscule little pieces that you're watching when you sort of cut it down to try and capture a certain event. Are we putting you off this yet? It's what we love. It's what we do.
I love
Yes,
reviewing.
absolutely.
I actually do love reviewing, but the other thing that needs to be made mention of when we're talking about reviewing, go through the video footage. If you think you've seen something, rewind, go back, go frame by frame by frame by frame. A few, say half a dozen frames before you think what you saw, half a dozen frames after you think what you saw, and then note the time down and keep going. If you do see something, note the time down and keep going, because you know what you're going to do? You're going to get to the end of that lot. There's probably going to be another video camera for you to review as well.
Because
Yep.
these are even for audio too. This is true, not just for video. It's audio as well.
Audio as well. And keep reviewing and keep going. I'm not saying don't go back and listen to it. By all means do, or go back and watch it again and go frame by frame to see whether or not you have caught something that you would consider anomalous. but keep going right to the end. And then what you do is you go back to the beginning and you literally go through those parts again. And that's when you really do a detailed review of what you think you may have caught. Kelly's brought up a really good comment. Take regular breaks when reviewing video footage. Otherwise, you tune out and you miss things. That is absolutely true. And that is the same for audio. Do not sit down and do 2 hours worth of, or a whole day sitting in front of a computer or a TV screen or sitting with headphones on reviewing your EVPs for any longer. I recommend 30 minutes, take a break.
I'm the same. I totally agree. Your mind just wanders. You can't help it. It's just, especially if it's something really boring, like listening to yourself sleep for 4 hours.
Or fart or burp in your sleep.
Well, that's exciting. At least there's a sound.
Well, at least that's a noise, right? That's so true. And it's not just about the fact that your mind wanders. It's the fact that you start getting tired because you're concentrating so hard. And then what happens? You start getting pareidolia. You either think you're hearing things in that EVP, and when you note the time down and you go back tomorrow and listen to it, you go, what? Was I tripping when I wrote down that timestamp? There's nothing there. So you start getting pareidolia because you're getting tired. And it's the same with your video and your stills.
Videos, even like you can't, I say 20 minutes video at a time tops, because there's just so much you're watching, and
my eyes get very tired, so I tend to do 20 minutes, then that's it. I'm out for an hour and then I'll go back. And sometimes it's really hard going back because you're sitting looking at nothing, but it's got to be done. And when we're talking about review, and I think Barbara and I have said this before, it can take you 6 weeks, depending on how many cameras and audio recorders you've got going. It could take you 6 weeks to get through this. And this is multiple people reviewing. So if you've got to think about it, if you've got 12 audio recorders, or let's just say 6, if you've got 6 audio recorders going at a location and you're investigating that location for 8 hours, how much hours worth of footage have you got to listen to?
And this is something where I've evolved over the years as well, because I mean, it was getting ridiculous. I mean, I was like, still after 3 or 4 months, I'm still reviewing from the last investigation, and I've been doing it every day. I literally do a review every day for at least an hour, and I'm still going months afterwards. It's like, no, you just take what you're going to be able to review fully. You've just got to know. I always have at least one recorder going the entire time. But then I just have another recorder, or 2 recorders sometimes, that I just use for when we're doing communication sessions or we're calling out, and that sort of thing. And then my videos, I have maybe a couple of video cameras, which I will just use however I feel. Sometimes I'll just set a video camera. If I'm feeling really mean a bit to myself, I'll set up a camera while I sleep, and then I know I've got 4 or 6 hours of just listening to me snore. But you've got to decide what you're going to do. You plan your investigation before you go, and you sort of work out where you think you might put your cameras and how long you're going to record for. Otherwise, you're in big trouble when you come to review it all.
Oh, here we go. Hello.
Here she is.
Here in spirit. I only don't like reviewing overnight investigations with all the snoring. or if you are me, all the sleep talking. That happens.
So we
can ask Lois about that one. Yeah, she knows all about it. I hope you're in warm, and I hope you're in bed, Miss Natasha. So nice to see you anyway. Glad you joined us, and really nice to see you. So if there's anything that you want to jump in with, Tash, while you're here, by all means do. Feel free to whack up a comment and I will share it on the screen. I think, as we've said, reviewing depends on your team, if you're a team, or how many people there are. But the one thing that if you do, and I mean, I will even do this with Barb now, if we think we've caught something, and Barb might not even be on the investigation with me, but I would send her a message and go, hey, Barb, can you listen to something for me, please, and tell me what you think it says?
Yeah.
And she'd be quite happy to do it. But this is, peer review is really important. As
Absolutely.
I've said, I seriously, we got this really cool EVP, and I swear, and this was from Waikino, and I swear I knew what it said, but I got my 82-year-old mum to listen to it with the headphones on, because I thought, you know what? If she can hear what I can hear, then I've got something. Because here is 82 years old, for Christ's sake. So she took the headphones off and she said to me, I hear, and whatever she said was exactly what I heard. So I knew that I had something. So peer review doesn't necessarily mean another investigator. It could mean your flatmate. But when you are actually doing that, please don't tell people what you think it says.
Absolutely. And I mean, I've known, it's so important, peer review. I have known investigators who should know better, who have insisted, without even asking other people to listen to their sound anomaly, who are insisting that it's a ghost and it's saying such and such. They haven't even brought it to the team and asked the team what they thought. And the next thing we know, they're on SoundCloud with clips on it, you know, saying that they're with the team, and listen to this because we've caught a voice. And it's like, that's not that. It sounds like someone walking past, you know. I know you were next to the road at that point, and I'm sure that I've got similar, and I've commented that it's someone walking past. So peer review, you know, especially, you know, talk to the people first off that you were with at the time. They might even say, it might be, oh, I've got a growl, and they're like, oh, sorry, I farted about them, you know.
Absolutely.
So always talk to each other
Excuse me.
about it, that you can take it elsewhere. Also, if you thought, once again, ask people what they think rather than telling people what you've caught.
I've actually got a story about that, an EVP that was captured. And the person said, you need to listen to this. So I listened to it and I said, oh, that was me. And this person said, that's not you. And I said, no, that is me. And this person said, that's not you. And I said, it is. I said exactly that. I was talking to the person sitting next to me. But back then, and being silly, I whispered it, right?
Yeah.
Which you should never do.
I was going to say, we haven't even mentioned that yet.
But I whispered to the person next to me, talk about the doctor.
Yeah.
And this other person on the team said to me, no, that's not you. I know it was me, but I could not convince this other person that it was me. And they ran with that and produced that as evidence, unfortunately.
That does happen, and I know of teams who have done that. They know darn well what the sound anomaly is, but it sounds so cool, and hey, everyone will think we've got an EVP. It's not.
Well, this person actually didn't believe it was me, but I could not convince this person that it was me that spoke at that point in time, but I just whispered. And they weren't having any of it, but it was me. Natasha says she's got nothing to add with regards to, nothing to add, but reviewing does take time. Also, if I think I've caught an EVP, I won't tell the team or Cal what I hear to see if we match up. And that's it. You cannot say to somebody, if you want anyone to listen to your EVP, all you've got to say is, hey, I think I've caught something. Can you listen to this? You do not want to tell them where it was captured. You do not want to say anything about what you think it says until they've listened to it. Yeah, and then you can discuss it after that point. I normally make them listen to it 3 times, or I put it on loop and I let it loop, because sometimes looping the actual clip is really easy to pick out what's being said once it's replayed on loop 6 times or something. And then I will say when they've finished, that basically, what do you think it says? And I will get them to tell me before I turn around and go, okay, so what I hear is, or I confirm what they've said. And then I'll go into, that was taken in the kitchen when Barbara and Cal and I were standing there, just as such and such walked out. And then we'll start discussing, okay, so could it be such and such's clothing moving, or their shoes squeaking on the floor, or whatever the case may be. And then we'll start really getting down into the analyzing it and getting into the nitty gritty. Natasha's got a really another good point. Paranormal 101, if you make a noise, own up. Absolutely. You have got to say, that was me. I just moved in my chair. Yeah. Or, sorry, that was my stomach. Remember at Larnac how Kristen's stomach was constantly rumbling? And she kept saying all the time, sorry, guys, that's just my stomach. Yeah, a stomach rumbling can sound like a demon growling.
Yeah, absolutely.
It really can.
Yeah, it can. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, people, as Cal is saying, you've got to just own up to any noise you make,
Yep.
And if you think it's you, even if like people will say, oh, did you hear that? And you're like, oh, I think that might have been my stomach. Just say it might have been.
Yeah.
Especially when there's multiple recorders, because it'll be recorded in different angles, and the person with the recorder next to you will be able to say, yep, that definitely was your stomach.
Yep, absolutely. And Cal says what I just said, never whisper during an EVP session. Absolutely. If you do, and quite often you will do it, and then you go, oh, sorry, that was me. I just whispered. Sorry, guys, I forgot. And that's perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine, but tag it.
Yeah. And also if you hear, because people do whisper, I mean, it happens. It's not ideal, but it does happen. And if you catch someone whispering, tag it. And someone's next to you and has whispered, you just say, oh, for the recorder, so-and-so just whispered, because it just makes it so much easier when you're reviewing. You've got no idea.
And I've seen that on video. Again, at Larnac, there was an EVP that was captured, and the person who found the EVP said, listen to this. And I went, I think that's your voice. And she went, no, I wasn't talking. And I said, no, I'm pretty sure that's your voice. And again, wouldn't believe me. So I went and reviewed the video footage. And yep, there she is, talking away at exactly the same time the EVP came through.
Yeah.
And she didn't even remember talking. So that goes to show how you sometimes don't even think that you did speak when you actually did speak.
Yeah. Something else that's really important while you're doing your reviewing, whether it be your video or your audio with your headphones on, is make notes of of what's happening at the time, because if it's going to take you a month to review, in a month you're not going to remember who was actually in that room at that time. So take notes at the time of the investigation, and then your first, like when you start reviewing, write down, we moved from the dining room through to the living room at this point. Now, something I'm going to add, okay, and Tracy, don't say anything, please. But what we do,
I will.
I know you will, but I'm saying it now. At the beginning of your investigation, it's a really good idea to verbally put a timestamp. Shush, Tracy. To verbally put a timestamp on your video and audio. All you have to do is say, we're starting now, we're at such and such a place. So-and-so is present. The time now is rah, rah, rah. And you say that, well, I say that probably every half an hour or so, so when I'm doing my reviewing, I've got an idea of who's here, who's around me, and I keep track of the time, just in case, just in case something is time stamped wrong, it's right there.
As I say, we do it differently at Quantum because we have a comms unit when we're running CCTV. So all those times are sent back to the comms unit and they write them all down. They also write down who is teamed up with who, what room they're in, and no one is allowed to walk around willy-nilly. You get told you've had your 30 minutes in that room now. Swap over with Barbara and Tracy. And Barbara and Tracy, you go to the lounge, and such and such and such and such, you go to the kitchen and take Barbara and Tracy's place. And then that is all noted down as well. That's why I love having a comms unit, because as an investigator, you are purely free to go and investigate. You don't have to note anything. You don't have to check times. You don't have to do nothing unless comms asks you, what's your timestamp? But 9 times out of 10, comms will write it down anyway. I just want to catch up on some of these comments. First off, Stephen, your one cracked me up. I was part of a team and were presenting an EVP to the client. It was clearly my voice, but the team leader said no, I was full of it, and it was actually a Scottish sailor who was at the hotel. Well, that's, sometimes it's very hard to convince people that it's not paranormal. It's actually you.
People desperately want it to be paranormal.
Yeah.
That's what it is. And if they're determined for it to be paranormal, you're not going to convince them otherwise.
Cal has actually brought up quite a cool comment, which is actually very handy at times. If you're reviewing video, turn the sound off. Don't even worry about your scratch audio. Just turn it off. Because then you can focus on your visuals as opposed to splitting your time between listening and focusing as well.
Because
Natasha says,
you've got a recorder going as well, an audio recorder going as well. You'll catch anything there.
Natasha says, what about a doppelganger where something mimics your voice and mannerisms? Are you talking about a mimic or a doppelganger? Because a doppelganger is visual and a mimic is audio. So what are you talking about?
I actually think I have a really good EVP, which is a mimic, and you've heard it, Tracy.
Okay. About the pump.
Yes.
Was it about the pump? Right. Yeah. Because Barbara let me listen to something. I wasn't at the investigation, and I said, "Isn't that such and such?" I swear to God, it is this person's voice, and she said, "No, that person had left hours beforehand, and we were the only people in the property at all." Oh, Natasha says both. Well, first of all, the only way you're going to know it's a doppelganger is if you know where that other investigator is, or other version of that investigator is at the time. And when you've got teams that just let 5-6 people roam willy-nilly across properties, you don't know whether or not Barbara was Barbara or whether or not Barbara was actually a doppelganger. That's why it's really important.
Barbara won't even remember in 2 weeks' time where she was at 8:42 that night.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why it's really important to know where your investigators are at all freaking times, where everybody is. And if somebody does, I mean, you can't prove that person was a mimic unless they say that wasn't me. I swear to God, that wasn't me. And you have them on video with their mouth shut.
Yeah, I was going to say, people don't realize they speak sometimes. So, you'd have to have it on video with them with their mouths shut.
Have it on video for sure.
Exactly.
That's a real curveball, that one, Tash.
Yeah.
I just lost my complete screen there. Wow. Kelly says the verbal timestamp is a good idea, but only works if audio and video devices are synced up time-wise first. Only works if the DVR system cameras are synced up as well.
Here we go. I've actually got something to tell you people about, but I don't know if it's the right time. It's with regard to the timestamps, because we actually use a system called Da Vinci, whereby, and I've actually got a link to it, which when Tracy seems to have disappeared. So when she gets back,
I'm still here. Can you hear me?
Oh, I can hear you. I can hear you. We use a system. It's called Da Vinci, and we can literally align all our media up time-wise, and it will do it automatically for you. Literally, you put in your first recording and then you put in your second recording, and the DaVinci system will align them sort of one after the other, one under the other. And so you can see at 8 o'clock on one camera, this noise happened. On this audio recorder, we heard it again there. On that audio recorder, we heard it again there. On this video camera, same noise, but that was, quite a distance away. And there is actually a system that will do that. And so we, it actually almost makes the verbal timestamp a waste of time, but I do it anyway because it only takes a second to do, and it's just makes things a little bit easier if there is any complications. But I'll put a link up later on once Tracy's back, and you please have a look at this particular system. Ian's actually made a really, really good video on how to use it. He knows I'm pretty hopeless with the technical side of that sort of thing. And so I think he made the video like he was telling me how to use it. So it really, I think he actually said it's like DaVinci for Barbara. It explains step by step how to do it and how to use it. And that will literally align all the media that you've taken from an investigation. It's absolutely amazing. I highly recommend it. I don't know if it would work for your DVR system though, so that would definitely need to still be timestamped. But yeah, highly recommend it. It just makes for such easy reviewing. You still have to listen to everything, but it's just for aligning and comparing. And this is Tracy messaging me.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I've
yes.
lost. Can you hear me?
Us? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine, but I can't seem to get my camera to work at all. And if I leave the studio, it's going to shut down the live, so I can't go out and then log back in.
You'll just have to be a ghost on it.
So I'm just going to be a ghost.
Did you hear what I was saying about? Are you able to put the link that I
I've already done it. It's in the description.
Oh, okay.
It's in the description of the video. So
you look for the description, folks, because it honestly, it's amazing. Like, it's just incredible. The system is just incredible. It will align all of your media up. And so if you think you've got an EVP, you can literally check all of your media that was taken at the same time, and it'll play you 6 different versions of your EVP. And unfortunately, we managed to debunk so many of our EVPs now by doing that. So
Natasha, Tracy is a disembodied voice. Yeah, it's like a seance, says Colleen. Yes, it is indeed. Natasha says that she's experienced a mimic with all of them on video, and no one was talking, but the audio on more than one device. It sounded like her saying something, but she would never say anything on an investigation. So that's really interesting. If you can catch it on camera with no one talking and let you capture something, there's definitely something to be said about that for sure. So there we have spoken about reviewing.
Yes. Can we just talk? Can we just say very quickly about and so when you think you've got something, use a program such as.
That's what we're getting into. This is the analysis of it now. So now we're going to move into the analysis of it. Yep. So with audio, if you think you've got something and you've been back and you've listened to it a dozen times, it's really good idea to run it through a audio program. I have put in our description, in the affiliate links at the bottom, there will be Barbara, or should I say Ian's YouTube video that he did for the analysis of, what was it, Barbara? Audio and video?
Media.
Media, okay.
It aligns all your media.
Okay, cool. And you'll also find that there is a link where you can download a program called Audacity. It is an audio program where you can review. Now, you don't listen to all of your audio through it, only put through something that you find or that you think that you've got something. What you can do there is you can take out background noise and you can raise the volume of it, and that would be all you would want to do to it. But with your audio analysis, never, ever alter your original audio, ever.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
what you need to do is you need to keep that file and make a copy of that file. And what you want to do is you want to manipulate the copy of that file. And when we say manipulate, all you want to do, all you want to do is take down the background noise or the hiss of the machine. If you haven't got a particularly clear audio recorder, a cheaper audio recorder, you get a lot of machine hiss with it. Take that down and raise the guts of what you want to hear volume wise. You don't want to do anything more.
Don't alter anything else. There's like a million, well, not a million, there's probably 20 different
things you could do,
processes you could put your clip through. But all that happens is that you end up with a clip that sounds nothing like your original clip. Paranormal investigators will just laugh at it because we call it cooked. It's so cooked, it's no longer of any use at all.
Absolutely.
Some people play with it until it sounds like there's a demon saying something, but it's so cooked that it's
absolutely worthless. And do you know what? If you are going, and this is when we'll get around to this in the next part when we're talking about presenting evidence. But if you've got a cooked audio or EVP like that, Barbara's right, you're going to be laughed at. The first thing they're going to say to you is, what have you done to this?
Yeah.
You know, you can run it through so many different types of filters, but then you've cooked it and it's absolutely worthless. So all you want to do is you want to extract the background noise, you want to dampen that, and you want to amplify what you want to hear more.
Yeah.
The bit that you want to hear.
Audacity is also where you can actually clip that part of your audio to make it a short clip. Nobody wants to listen to 3 hours of audio to listen to one clip. So just make sure you clip it so there's probably a good 20 seconds prior to the sound anomaly. Or if there's something interesting happening or something that you feel that is being said that is relevant to it, start it from before then and go for about 20 seconds, maybe 10 seconds after the sound anomaly, so that you've got a good sized clip. We don't want to just hear 4 seconds of, you know, we want to hear what happened before, we want to hear what happened after.
Particularly if we're talking about a direct response to a question. So you'll want the question in there and then you'll want the response. You can also, in Audacity, you can also loop it. So it will just play again and again and again. And that's really, really helpful as well. And this software is free. So I've put the link in the description for you to be able to download it. It's the latest version of it. It's probably the easiest program and the best program to use that is free. There are better programs out there, but they get more and more complicated. We're not creating an album or releasing a single. We're reviewing an EVP, and for that purpose, Audacity is absolutely perfect for it. Context, absolutely. Colette, absolutely, context.
Yeah, that's exactly right. The other great thing about Audacity is that it's there are so many YouTube clips on how to use it. If you don't want to watch a 40-minute video on it, that's fine. You can just do a 10-minute watch on how to amplify a clip or how to cut a clip, you know.
YouTube's fantastic for that, honestly.
So it's very easy to teach yourself how to use that.
And there was something else I was going to say with Audacity. I don't know if they have with Audacity. I'm not sure whether a spectrogram is included in that free version or not. But a spectrogram is really, really handy to have when you're reviewing and analyzing EVP, because a spectrogram will actually show you, and it's your favorite color as well, Kels. It's purple normally, purple and orange. And depending, and it will show you the range of the human voice that it comes, like if it's within the range of a human voice, it will tell you how many hertz it's been captured at. That sound has actually been captured at 1500 hertz or whatever the case may be. And then you can go away and research whether or not the actual level that it's been captured at is that within the human voice range, because a lot of the time these EVPs are not. But if you don't know how to analyze the EVP properly, you're actually losing out on more data that supports your EVP, if you understand what I'm saying. With regards to when we're analyzing, and look, I'm not the best person to talk about this, and we are going to have Kels, who is a semi-professional photographer, give us a bit of a session on photography within the paranormal. And that's going to be I can assure you, it's going to be a really good live that we'll be doing. So we're going to have her come on in a few months' time and do that with us. And she's going to talk to you about it. But when we're talking about analyzing, let's talk about stills. Analyzing stills, there's a thing called EXIF data, EXIF data. And if you think you have captured something, you need to have that data, okay? If you don't have that data, then basically no one's going to take you very seriously, okay? That data is absolutely imperative. Oh, Natasha says Audacity does have a spectrogram, even on the free one, plus the hertz. Thanks, Tash. I haven't looked at Audacity for about 5 years now, because unfortunately I can't load it on the laptop that I have. And Cal said to use looping with caution. It can lead to pareidolia. Kelly, I'm talking about looping when you think you've caught something. So when you actually think you've caught something, looping it to let a peer listen to it, so it's more easily ascertainable as to what it says, is actually really handy. Looping it for yourself can be good to find one particular word. Like there might be 4 words that are spoken. You can make out 3 of them, but you can't make out one of them. Looping it can make that clearer. And that's pretty much all I'm talking about with looping. So when you think you've got something, you're past the pareidolia stage anyway at that point. But when you're letting other people listen to it, it's easier for them to hear it 3 or 4 times in succession, rather than you stopping it, going back, rewinding, stopping it, going back, rewinding, which they're going to ask you to do. Just loop it, and then they can hear it 3 or 4 times in a go. So thanks for that information, ladies. Yeah, that's what we're going to get to in a minute. Tash has brought up a really good point as well. We're just going to get to that in a minute with regards to presenting your evidence. Cals, as I say, Cals is the best one to talk about with regards to EXIF data. And Kelly, you might want to quickly just put up what it shows you, but I know that it will show you whether or not your flash was used. And the amount of times I've stood next to somebody and they've said, when they took the photo and we've got back to reviewing and I've said, oh, you shouldn't have had your flash on there. And they've gone, I didn't have my flash on. Yeah. I stood right next to them. I know they had their flash on. I was right there.
It'll also show shutter speed because, of course, if they are taking a photo with a really slow shutter speed, that's going to cause all sorts of anomalies in your photos. So,
It does.
yeah,
And a lot of the time people will turn around and say, look what I caught. And you can you don't even have to see the XF data to know that that is a shutter speed problem. But as I say, Kelly's the best one to talk about this. And she will be talking about this in a couple of months because we're going to be taking that as a whole episode on taking photos when you're on an investigation, what to do and what not to do, and all that sort of thing.
Really important one. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, so am I, because I need to know. Mind you, it's no point in me taking all my photos turn out black anyway. They just black. That's why I don't take photos. All I use is an EVP. XF data will give timestamps, aperture, shutter speed, ISO, etc., which can debunk a lot of things.
Absolutely.
So there you go. So you want to go through all this stuff before you get to the point where you're going to present what you've got as evidence or what you think you've caught. Look at what we caught. And we have to say we've done it on a couple of occasions over the decades in ghosts where we've put up something and we've gone, look what we caught. And the amount of people that have gone, oh, my God, that was such an active place you've got there, blah, blah, blah. And we've gone, no, actually, we were a bit cruel. We did that deliberately to see what the outcome was going to be. That, guys, is not paranormal. That is just someone that doesn't know how to use a camera properly. Shutter speed too slow. Flash was used when it shouldn't have been, blah, 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 all the rest of it. So, yeah.
And the sad thing is that people often don't even realise what's caused this anomaly in their photo. They honestly think they've caught the ghost photo of the decade. And once again, they don't really want to believe it when we've got to pop their bubble and kind of say, you know what that actually is. So it goes back to what we're saying in Paranormal 101. You need to take on board what your ghost hunting peers and investigators are actually telling you, because sometimes, as much as we want it to be paranormal as much as what you do, but sometimes, or most times, it's just not. There's a rational explanation.
There absolutely is. Now, Natasha says XF only works on digital photos, not film ones. So it doesn't work on what we call 38 millimeter, which is film. And it doesn't work on, XF doesn't work on Polaroid either. But hardly anyone uses film nowadays because of the expense of developing and the fact that you will take hundreds of photos a night. And pretty much the same goes for Polaroid. People will only use Polaroid to a very small extent. So XF works on digital cameras. And again, you need to be running it through Photoshop or something like that for your XF data to come out, I think. I don't know. I don't work with digital cameras. But as I say, Kelly will give us the rundown on that for sure.
Yeah, and Facebook. Don't have a look at a Facebook photo and try and find the don't try and find the details on it, because Facebook just strips the whole lot. So yeah, it's got to be
30. Yes, sorry. What did I say? Did I say 36 millimeters? I'm 35 millimeter. Yeah, Facebook is horrible. Messenger is worse. It compresses the data, so you lose definition. So, all these sorts of things, and I suppose we're now getting into the realm of presenting evidence to the wider public. Let's jump in there both feet instead of having one foot in that camp and one foot in the analysis camp.
Exactly. Yeah.
Presenting, you do not want to be.
Okay. Can I just say one thing about when you are actually analysing the evidence, is that at the analysis point, you're actually starting to look for the big picture, and that's where you can start to put the information, all the information you've written down and all the notes that you've written down, and try and sort of see, like, if you recorded that there was a large spike in EMF at 8:49, and then two of the recorders which were close by actually recorded a strange kind of a static noise. No idea what it is. And this camera at 8:40, 8:50 has actually caught a strange light anomaly on the wall, which was by, where that particular millimeter was. That's when you start looking at the big picture, because any one of those things is nothing. But when you can say all this happened within 1 minute, that makes people think a little bit more and kind of consider, well, maybe something was happening.
This is where your collation of your data comes into being. And
exactly.
as Barbara said, one thing is nothing. But if your data backs up this one thing, your other data, then you might be actually onto something at that point.
Absolutely. And something that I use every investigation is my Eddy Plus. Now, the Eddy actually gives you a second by second readout of temperature, vibrations, air pressure, humidity, and EMF. And it can put it in, not only do you get second by second, every single one of those things, it will also put it into a graph for you. So you can see immediately if there was some big event, whereby there was a huge spike and the air pressure went up. And once again, that information needs to be taken and correlated, needs to correlate with other events that may have happened during your investigation. So it's the big picture you're looking for, not just one sound or one light, or it's the big picture we're looking for.
Other data to support what you think you have caught, basically. Now, I have just starred one of Kelly's comments, and I don't know what that has done at your guys' end, but I've started anyway. You can get XF data by right-clicking on the photo and going to properties. You don't actually need to have Photoshop or any specific software to see it, which is great. You're getting a little bit of Kelly's flippin' episode already. But let's move on to presenting your evidence. So there's something I really want to say now, before we actually go into the nuts and bolts of it, is if you were going to present your evidence, don't throw your toys out of the cot if you have people telling you it's a load of crap, or that is a spider crawling across your outdoor CCTV camera, or that is a bug. It's quite clearly a bug. Make sure, and this is where your analysis comes in, that your data that you have captured surrounding the event that you are presenting backs up that event. You can correlate other things that occurred at the same time that you captured that light anomaly. You got an EMF reading of this, and you had no other spikes that night. You got an EVP 30 seconds after that occurred. Things like that. Yes, you need a thick skin. Natasha's right. You need a thick, can't see the comment come up on screen. Oh, okay.
It's there
you
now.
need a thick skin to present on social media. There be trolls. Absolutely. You are not going to convince everybody, okay? And do you know what I've given up doing? Trying to convince anybody, quite frankly. I don't share stuff on social media.
It's not our
and
job.
That's not our job. It's not out there to convince you of anything.
No.
Out there to capture data to see if all these bits of data will correlate towards a specific event occurring that could possibly be paranormal. That's why I'm out there.
Yeah.
Not to convince anybody else.
I gave up on that years ago. If the people are absolutely certain they're not going to believe, fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
I'll keep doing what I do. I'll keep trying to, I'll keep trying to find, for want of a better word, evidence, but I'll definitely be finding, as anomalies, sound and light anomalies, EMF spikes, and just trying to put it all together to build the story, to write it might be paranormal scenario.
You know, people are going to say, like, I've just put up Colette's. I don't know if you know or not, but Colette was featured on Nuke's Top 5, I think it was, or Nuke's Top 10, with her video
Yes.
that she put up on ghosts.
Yeah.
Of what happened in her office when no one was in there that the CCTV camera caught. But yeah, everyone's going to yell fake. Okay. Now the problem with presenting evidence is so many people are presenting fake evidence that slapped ham, thank you, that everybody thinks everybody is fake. Okay. So whatever you capture, people are going to say it's fake. But the other side of the coin is as well, if you're going to present something and you haven't done your due diligence and you're presenting your CCTV camera that caught a fucking spider crawling over the camera lens and you put it up, then expect real paranormal investigators to come out and tell you exactly what they believe it to be.
Yeah.
Don't get your knickers in a twist. Don't throw your toys out of the cot, because don't put your stuff up on social media if you don't want paranormal investigators that do this regularly to come up and say to you, sorry, honey, it's not Uncle George. It's the hairy 8-legged creature from your garden.
I've actually been kicked off a page for that exactly, and it was a paranormal page, and this person had put up this video which was clearly it was dust. It really was, and she and her friends were they were absolutely peeing themselves about it. It was a ghost for sure. And when I came on, I said, look, hey, it's not. I tell you right now, they were absolutely so angry that, it wasn't fair. Don't paranormal investigators have their own page to go on to? What are you doing on our page? You shouldn't be telling us this isn't a ghost. It's like, well, it's a paranormal page. I'm telling you what you have captured. It's not a ghost. I was removed from the page.
I've actually had one like that as well.
Some people just don't want to know. They just want it to be paranormal, and that's okay. That's all right. Like I said, I've got thick skin now. I'm not here to
convince anybody.
I'm here to try and educate people, but I'm not going to try and convince the unconvincible.
Yep. So if you're putting something up and you're saying, look what I captured, you're going to get comments. And you're going to get comments saying it's this, it's just that, it's not that, it's just this. And you've got to be prepared for it. Or guess what? Don't put your stuff up on social media. It's actually quite simple. And we don't. And I've had somebody in our YouTube channel ask us, it would be really great if you guys could put up the evidence that you guys have captured with all your years' experience.
Yeah.
And I said, well, evidence. And I said, well, I don't actually think we have captured evidence, actually. Well, things that you've captured that could be paranormal. But who's to say that they are and who's to say that they aren't? Honestly, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
And when you're sharing all this stuff, you've also got to remember, even with EVPs, you lose so much definition when they go up on YouTube. When they go up, they've got to be literally Class A EVPs or don't bother using them.
Yes. Now that is something. The number of EVPs that are put up and they don't sound, it could just be someone whispering or a cricket or, I'm with Tracy here. I know there are paranormal investigators who put up funny little one-syllable whispers, and it's like that could be someone moving. It could be their jacket rustling. It could be so many things, and yet they're convinced it's a Class A EVP. A Class A EVP is where you can hear every single part of the phrase or the word, preferably a phrase, because one word isn't really is not great, and it's clear, like anybody listening to it would know immediately what it's saying. That is a Class A. That is what we are looking for.
Absolutely. So Natasha's put up, you can't convince people an orb isn't dust. I clean my house. I have no dust in here. Unless you live in a vacuum, dust is everywhere. Absolutely. Airborne particles are flying around all the time. Just because you don't see them with your naked eye does not mean that they are not there. The unfortunate thing is that people seem to think that it's about doing your due diligence again. As much as it is about us trying to back up our anomaly with a whole load of other data that supports it or possibly could support it, it's exactly the same, but in the opposite. They're not coming up with any data at all. They're just presenting what they believe to be paranormal. This is why I have stopped videos and I have stopped photos going up on ghosts, because it is the same bollocks all the time. It's a bug. It's airborne particles. It's dust. It's nothing out of the ordinary at all. So I'm removing them now, unless there is some interest in it. I'm just removing them because all it does is start arguments. It's all it does.
Exactly. Yeah.
And people get the truth and they get shitty.
Yeah.
But yes, and Natasha has said another good thing, paranormal 101 etiquette. If you do comment on pages and on others' advice, you don't need to be a jerk about it. Just state the facts. Don't attack others and then let it go.
Absolutely.
Unless you're like Tracy and they attack you, and then that's it. They're fair game after that point, I'm afraid. Sorry, not sorry. So yeah, presenting your evidence, make sure not only that your team members are all in, because remember, you know what? If you're working as part of a team, presenting evidence isn't just showing a light on you. It's throwing a light on whoever else is on your team. Yes. So you got to try, this was where etiquette comes in. If not everybody in the team is on the same page with regards to, yes, this is something, then it's up to the people who run the team at the end of the day. But personally, I'd be very kind of in two minds about sending it off to other investigators for them to listen to. I would never put it on YouTube. I would, in respect of, look what we captured. This is a ghost. I would never put it on Facebook or anything like that.
Yeah.
But in the same breath, if we had something fantastic, of course you want to. But I would want everybody to be on the same page, and I would want that run past my other best mates that are maybe not in my team, like Barbara and Tash, who we work together, we haven't with Tash yet, but we will. But they're not in my team, and I would, might chuck it out to Stephen as well. Tell me what you think of this, mate. But I would like to get my peer review done, give them context, and see what comes of that before I'm splashing anything out anywhere.
Can I just give an example? And it's relative.
Absolutely.
Within the last 2 or 3 years, there was a team down the country, and they went online one morning, the team leader saying, I have never before captured poltergeist activity or seen poltergeist activity, and last night we captured it. Look at this video. And we looked at the video and we could see quite clearly that the psychic that this team had invited to do the investigation, it was a private investigation too. I mean, that in itself is really bad, to take a psychic along on a private investigation. However, it was quite clearly seen on this video that she had posted, supposedly showing poltergeist activity, that the psychic flipped a cushion across the room.
That's right.
There. Do you remember it?
I do. There was, oh boy, do I, yes.
She was online crowing about it. And every paranormal investigator in New Zealand, I think, was like, what the hell? Oh, let's look. And it's like, he just flipped that that guy, who's also relatively well known, that guy, he had his hand there and he just used his wrist to
And
flick
flick,
the
flick.
cushion.
Yep.
That video was gone later that day and not another word was ever said. You've got to be so careful. You can make yourself look so stupid if you jump in half-cocked and start presenting evidence, which is rubbish.
And as Kelly says, being in a team should be a democracy. Yep, everyone should be on the same page. As I
Yeah, yeah,
said, it affects whatever you do as a head of a team or a team leader or a case manager or a founder of a team or a lead investigator, whatever you do reflects on the whole team as a whole. It's not only the name of the team that gets dragged through the mud, it's every single person's name that is on that team.
yeah, yeah.
And
For
even
sure.
people that associate with that team
Yes,
and
yeah, you're
maybe
right.
work with that team.
Yeah, yeah. I once worked with someone who was so petrified that their name was going to be dragged through the mud by something that he perceived, or they perceived, that that his team members may be doing, which may have made him the laughing stock of the International Paranormal Society, whatever. That he was like, you couldn't do anything. Like, he was just, you couldn't say anything on it. Be careful of anything you said online. You can go over the top with it, you know. Pete, you do have to realize that different team members will have different ideas, and you do need to actually give each other a little bit of leeway and the respect to have their own opinions as well,
Absolutely.
without having to parrot, you know, what one person says.
I mean, that's the beauty about working on a team is
Yeah,
you get
exactly.
other people's ideas that you might not have even crossed your
Yes.
mind.
Yeah, yeah,
And you get other people's ideas, you get other people's input and how to do things. And
yeah.
that's the fantastic part about being a part of a team.
That is
And
absolutely.
and even in quantum, we've all got our different views. We've all got our different areas that we are very well educated in. And
Uh-huh.
nobody's got the same area, literally, nobody's
Yeah,
got the same area. So we all
yeah,
bring that knowledge to the table. And it'll
yeah,
be sometimes that somebody will, like, for instance, Cal will know more about photography. And someone will say, we've captured something. And straight away, Cal will check the XF data and she'll go, nope, this is the problem straight. Bang,
yeah,
that's it. It's
yeah,
nothing. Um, so that also helps when you're working as part of a team. You get lots of different people's expertise
yeah,
in various
yeah,
aspects. So it
exactly.
kind of makes the whole thing gel. And
Exactly. And there's no point in having a whole team who all think the same thing. Like,
no, no,
why would
no,
you even
that's
do that?
boring. That's
Yeah.
boring.
Well,
That's like,
it's not boring. You're not going to grow as a team. You're not going to come up with different ideas if you're not, discussing, having discussions. And I mean, I've had my
it's
mind
boring
changed.
because you're never going to grow.
Yeah, exactly.
You're
So
never going
yeah,
to grow.
open-minded enough to actually take on board what other people are saying. The big part of being a paranormal investigator.
And you know what? It's okay to say, hey, you know what, Cole, but I don't agree with you. And that's
Yes.
okay too. There
Yep.
seems to be a thing in this world at the moment that you cannot disagree with somebody on something without it turning into a war.
Well, that's true too.
It's okay to disagree with people and have your own thoughts on something.
Yeah.
And we're not
Yeah.
all going to think the same thing. You might have people that go, I'm not sure about that. And you'll have other people in the team that are going, my God, we've caught something. We have
Yeah.
so caught something. As
Yeah.
long as you do all your due diligence and everybody in the team is happy about it being released
Yeah.
as being potentially a paranormal event, and
Uh-huh.
wording is very important here, then
Yeah.
fine, go for it.
Exactly.
But get your
And so
peer review in.
Tracy, how does quantum, how do they actually release it? Like, I know paranormal researchers, we will I'll actually write a written report in conjunction with Ian, and then Ian will, for his part, he will make a video of our investigation. So that's how we sort of release our
findings.
Yeah, I was going to say evidence, but no, because there's not normally evidence.
We
as
don't
such,
release our findings.
Yeah. Well,
we don't release.
Oh, okay, you don't?
No. We write a report for the client.
Yeah.
Which I normally do based on all the evidence, chatting with all the investigators, because each investigator is meant to fill in a report. And then I will write a report based on all of that, and that will go to the client. And it will go out to the lead investigator as well for any corrections that they want to make on it. It may even go out to every single team member for them to read it if they're interested. If they don't read it and come back with stuff, then fine. But if they do, great. And then I'll make changes based, it might be, oh, you've said in the report that I was in the kitchen when that light went off. I wasn't actually. I was in the lounge. I saw it from the lounge. So just little things like that. And then I'll fix that up, and then it'll go off to the client. We don't release it to the public.
Yeah. So yet another example of how teams are different. There's no set way of doing paranormal investigations. No set way of presenting your presenting your evidence. And so
it's all different.
To anyone thinking about, sort of starting paranormal investigating, it's really up to you where your strengths are. Like we do a video because, my partner at Paranormal Researchers, he's a video editor, he's a video producer, so of course he wants to make videos, and so it depends on your team members really as to what you want to do at the end of an investigation. But I mean a big part of it, and once you've done the analysis, but a big part of it is, please don't be one of these groups that get an investigation, go and do it, run around the place giving paranormal investigators really bad name, and
release a video,
and then nothing. Oh, you might run around on the night with a video showing you running around, and that's really it. There's nothing to share. There's nothing to show. And all that's happened is that you've used up a perfectly good video, paranormal investigation location, and made sure that another group won't get in there. And just so you can get your thrills, basically. So,
there we go. Sorry, just so you can get your thrills. Exactly. There's another good point that Kells has made, and right. If anyone in here doesn't know, Kells is actually the lead investigator for Quantum, as well as having run her own group for a number of years down in Dunedin. She said it's really important to put the client's expectations in writing from the outset, and often that can involve an NDA. So at Quantum, we do have an NDA. All the investigators have to sign an NDA. And it is also, Kelly is a qualified lawyer and admitted to the bar of the High Court of New Zealand. So she's gone through the original NDA that we had, and she's revamped it. So it's completely covering our asses legally. And we always, before we even begin the investigation, normally in the first preliminary interviews, or when we first go, if it's a site that we can gain access to, for instance, if it's not in Timaru and we're not all flying down there to do it, if we can gain access to it prior to the investigation, we sit down, we have a talk with the client, and we nut out what the client is actually comfortable for us to do. And that will be spelt out. And I mean spelt out. So that will be, are you happy for us to mention the fact that we've done an investigation? If you don't want us to, we're happy not to mention where it was. We'll just say a residential, well, we don't do residentials anymore, but we'll just say a historical building in Dunedin, For instance, we won't mention here. A lot of the time clients will go, oh, I don't care. Doesn't bother me. But if it's a business, a lot of the time it really will bother them and they don't want it known.
Yeah.
So and if they say, oh, I don't mind, we've had clients before that have said, look, I don't mind you releasing videos on YouTube or whatever, and we didn't have a YouTube account then, so we went, oh, we don't do that. But they go, oh, well, if you want to release parts of the video or whatever, that's fine, as long as you don't show the outside of the property, I'm okay. So it depends, and then you'll have other clients that go, nope, I don't want you to show any photos of the inside. I don't want you to show any photos of the outside. I don't want the name mentioned. I don't want my name mentioned. All that gets written down, and then either I'll sign it or a member of the Quantum Foundation will sign it on behalf of the Quantum Foundation. Normally the lead investigator will sign it if I'm not there, and they sign it, and they get left with a duplicate copy so that they've got something they can refer back to and prove that we have signed this, and we've got something to prove that we have signed this, and this is what they have said, and they've signed it, and they're okay with that. As Cal said, cover your ass.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, any team, if you are asked not to give information out, don't. Don't, never, ever, give information out.
I think we've said this before as well, Barb. It's happened before.
Absolutely, it's happened before.
And it's blocked other teams from going into places because that person now wants nothing to do with any other paranormal investigation team because someone went in and blew it. And I've seen it happen.
Respect for the property, respect for the property owner. Ask if they've been kind enough to allow you to investigate and they ask you not to make anything public at all, please don't.
You're just an ass if you do that. You really are, because you're out there repping for the rest of us, and that's what you've got to realize. If you're saying we're a paranormal team, we investigate the paranormal, you are literally, in the eyes of that client, you are repping for the whole paranormal field when you're out there doing it for that client. Make sure that you put us in a good light.
Absolutely. Yeah, because if you do that, then they will probably, the owner or the manager are likely to allow other teams in. And the more teams who can get investigations, the more we can all work together, the happier we're all going to be. We're all going to get way more locations. So, yes, we have to consider each other. We have to basically all work together. And like I said, it just comes down to respecting being a paranormal investigator, respect for the building, respect for the owner, and respect for your fellow investigators.
Absolutely. And respect for the field as a whole.
Yeah.
Is there any question?
Anyway, it's hard enough anyway without, people mucking it up.
It is hard,
Please think about that. Please think about it.
Are there any questions you guys want to ask before we wrap it up?
I was just going to say, I see Natasha said, about the videos, and even if nothing happens, it's really good to show the history of places. And that's something that it is. I mean, even if people are not really that interested in the fact that you did a boring investigation and not a lot happened, which is more than normal.
That's the real paranormal investigation.
You can always spice it up with little, snippets of the history, because so many of the buildings do have amazing histories and are just amazing buildings in their own right. So, yeah, absolutely agree 100% with you there, Natasha.
And do you know what as well, Tash? I think a lot of people, and I've seen it said on YouTube quite frequently, I'm not into the paranormal, but I watch these programs because I love the history of the places. So we're getting a whole bunch of people that are history buffs. They're not necessarily into the paranormal. They actually just want to see a historical property, and they want to hear about the history of the place. And yeah, so they watch paranormal investigating because a lot of the properties are historical. So,
absolutely. Can I just say one more step to tonight's sort of plan? Is after you've done all this, after you've done the investigation and you've done the reviewing and you've done the analysis and you've presented your evidence, think about yourself and your performance on the investigation. What could you? It's actually part of the report writing for me.
reflection.
Yeah. What could you have done better? What do you wish you had done at the time? Could you have changed anything? Would you have changed anything? Could you have done it differently? So many questions to ask yourself, because that's how we grow as investigators. Like we were saying before, if you go back every time and do the same thing over and over again, we're not going to make any progress.
Do you know what? That's why we're not making any progress in the field, because so many people are in the field doing what they have seen on TV, on TikToks, on YouTube, and we're not making any progress. And sitting there afterwards, and this is why we like to have a debrief and a few bottles of wine afterwards to sit down while it's really fresh in our heads and say, do you know what? What we should have done was we should have followed the line of questioning of this. I would have liked it better if we'd put a camera there. We didn't get this done right. That didn't quite gel. All that sort of thing can be discussed afterwards. And it's really important to reflect on what you've done, what you think you could have done better, what you think you might like to tweak if you've done an experiment, perhaps, and there was a part to it that didn't quite work. Talk about how could we tweak that, because that kind of didn't work. So what do we need to do next time to make it work? That sort of thing. Reflect on everything you've done.
Yeah. It's
as an individual.
Yeah.
Yep. As an individual and as a team. I just want to show something that Tasha's put up. Good videos take time and research to do. It can take me a whole weekend to do a 10 to 20 minute one with edits, stories, etc. Tasha, I'm going to have to come to your place and learn how to video edit, because I haven't got a freaking clue, and it's something I am really, really keen on doing once I get my own laptop and I can download editing software and put editing software on it instead of using my work one where I'm absolutely... Oh, Kelly says more like a few casks of wine. Trace. No, I don't drink casks. God, I gave that up when I was about 18. Thank you. More like a few bottles. I think Barbara was shocked at the last Waikino. I said, right, I'm off to bed. And both her and Ian said in unison, you're not having a wine? And I went, no, I'm off to bed. I was so knackered. I know. You were shocked.
I was like, what the? You call yourself an investigator.
I was exhausted, though. I must admit.
Luckily, it was actually a public event, and there were a number of the people, attendees, who were staying. So they stayed up and had a debrief with us.
And kept everyone company, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I want to say to wrap it up is, if you're looking for that program, Audacity, that free software program to download so that you can analyze your EVPs, look in the description. There's a link in the underneath affiliate links, and there's another link for Ian's video on syncing media together.
Sorry,
so check those out.
Yeah,
and I just want to have a look at what we are. Oh, it's not even there. Goodness gracious.
The spotlight is on Natasha, who is going to do who is going to talk about the haunted location spotlight of Norfolk Island.
Yeah. And we've got next month has got 5 weeks in it. So guess what? Oh, hang on a sec. Just Kelly's interrupting me. We were drinking cask wine at Larnac Woman. You, me, and Ian. Oh, that's why I stayed up till 9 o'clock in the morning. That's right. Never got any sleep that night. Best night of my life. Anyway, getting back to what we're doing next month, because this is the last week for April. So, as Barb said, Natasha's up straight away with the haunted location spotlight. But because we've got 5 weeks, we've got 2 fantastic guest speakers you are not going to want to miss.
Yeah.
You are not going to want to miss these.
We've got 3 guest speakers, don't we? Because we have
No, we've got 2.
Yeah.
We've got we've got Anne and Renata 1 week.
Yeah.
And Anne and Renata are from Australia. So Anne owns Oztech Paratech, which is a paranormal equipment company.
The best, the only place to get your equipment, folks. If you want to get paranormal equipment, go to oh my gosh. I'm sorry. Paratech. Oz Paratech. OZ.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll link you up with that in a couple of weeks when they're on. So they're going to come on. So Anne does that. Anne and Renata do haunted tours all over the world.
Yeah.
So they run tours. They fly over and they take people from Australia and New Zealand over there. Yeah. They've done Ireland. Pardon?
They are podcasters as well.
Yes, they run their own podcast. They used to hold events in Australia. I'm not sure if they're doing that anymore, but we will get all the gen directly from them. We've also got our very own New Zealand Mark Koppel, who is, I asked him if he was a cryptozoologist. He prefers Fortean investigator, but he goes out and he does a lot of investigating into the Mohau man. And I believe, and I could be wrong, but I believe he had a bit to do with Skinwalker Ranch when he was in the US. Yes, the old Mohau man. So that's, if you haven't heard of the Mohau man, he's basically New Zealand's answer to Bigfoot. So we've got him coming on to have a chat to us about what he's getting up to. We are also going to be doing an episode, and both of those will be lives. Our 3rd live for next month is going to be smudging, cleansings and clearings, blessings, banishments, and exorcisms. So that should be an interesting little live, I'm sure. And then we're also going to finish off the month with paranormal TV, YouTube, and TikTok. And we're going to discuss what's going on with those mediums, or media, whatever you want to call it, and what's being presented on there. We're going to have a chat about our most favoritist programs, our most hated programs, paranormal trash on TikTok and paranormal trash on YouTube. And we'll have a chat about all of that. And I mean, all of us will have a chat about that, not just be us. And so that's pretty much next month. We got some pretty cool stuff coming up.
Can I just say, folks, if you listened last week to Taylor Rattle and you thought at the time, I've got a story, I'm going to record it and send it, and you haven't done it yet, please do it.
Actually, if you go to last week's video, in the description, you will find his email linked below in the description, and you will also find the Phantom Files podcast that he did with Spooky Stories from last week as well. So yeah, if you've got a story, please get it through to Taylor. He would really like to do another episode of the Phantom Files, but people are a little bit remiss in coming forward with stories for him. We do think it's because people want to do it anonymously, and unfortunately they either have to type an email to him and he gets an actor or one of his comedian friends to read it out, or he wants you to take a voice note and send the voice note to him if you don't mind your voice being on air. But please support New Zealand podcasts. There isn't that many of them. And yeah, it would be really great to see another episode of the Phantom Files. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. I don't have anything else, Barb.
No, I think we have covered it all tonight.
Excellent. And
I hope it helped you. Like whether you're a newbie or you've been doing it for a while, I really hope that we've given you something new. Because as an investigator, I know it's always great to hear something new or something else to think about. So I hope
and guys,
we've been of
please don't forget, join us every Friday night. Get yourself a wine. It's, as you can see, it's a really relaxed chat. We're not doing professional bloody podcasting. And please like the video and subscribe to the channel.
Says the ghost.
Oh, thanks, Colette, says the ghost. Woo. Yes, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment in YouTube. It all helps with the algorithms, guys.
Yeah, and you know what you could do, even though you've listened to this, tomorrow, just turn it back on and run it through, please.
Share it to your friends, please. Let's get the word out there so that we can. And you know what? If you don't think this is working, we're quite happy to hear from you and take suggestions on board, guys.
Criticism is welcomed.
Yep, put it in the comments. You're more than welcome to put it in the comments.
Play it on loop, yes, Natasha.
Play it on loop. Oh dear. All right. Well, that was cool. Thanks so much for chatting.
I'll wave for Tracy as well, since we can't see her.
I was actually waving. Duh. Yeah, I'm not even here.
I'm waving for you. It's all right. Only one hand's moving. Hang on, I'll wave this one twice then.
You might feel a breath in front of your face and it will be me waving. The audacity, says Natasha. Hey, thanks, Kelly Sorden. Thanks for being here. It's lovely to see you.
Absolutely. See you next week.
Night, guys.
Good night.